Had a really great arm wrestling session today over at Steve's place over at Jim Max. I'll throw up a few assorted matches. This one is with Curtis Cameron, aka Pork Chop, aka the most improved arm wrestler in Ontario for the last, I'm going to say, couple years. Very special new arm wrestler. One of my very favorite guys to arm wrestle with these days. And I'll tell you, if you're around like between 220 and 245, and if you think you can beat this guy anywhere in Canada, I would love to see it. Anyways, behold, Pork Chop.
We're filming. Thanks, buddy. Let's do it.
You need a better camera, Devin.
I know. Is it really bad? Can you see it so like I'll just score it here?
So I'm just going to tell a little story here as you watch us kind of messing around and setting up. Curtis, the first time we met him, I think was at one of Eric's tournaments. It was the Ottawa Open, like a couple years back. And I look at him, and this was a day, interestingly enough, that all three of my kids competed. They all won first place, right and left. Then Jody competed, right and left, and she won also. So they pressured me into competing in the event that day, which I had no intention of doing. But anyways, I did. And Curtis was one of the guys who was arm wrestling there that day. It was his first tournament. He'd never arm wrestled on like an arm wrestling table. So I went over to him. I see him there. And he looked like a bodybuilder to me. He looked like one of those guys who lifts a lot of weights, and a lot of guys like that aren't always as strong as you would expect them to be, just because they haven't specialized. You know, they're not thinking about arm wrestling; they're thinking about bodybuilding stuff. No big deal. So I went over and I talked to him, like, "Hey man, have you ever done this before?" He was like, "Oh, kind of just with my friends, kind of thing." So, anyways, no big deal. So I have a match with them, and they say ready, go, and I hit this dude with everything that I had, and it stopped dead. I was like, what am I in with right now? So I set up again. There was a foul, but I set up again, and I went way outside, and I went through his hand. So later that day, he arm wrestled a guy called Alexander Paquette, who at that time was kind of looked at as the number one guy in Quebec, except for maybe Sylvain Perron. And he had like a 30-second or 45-second war with him in his first event out. So Curtis is another one of those guys who came into the sport at a super high level. Really high level, right out of the gates. We've had the pleasure of pulling with him here in Ottawa for like the last couple years. He just has won the Ontario kind of open challenge, where most of the best dudes in Ontario in the open weight division got together, and he won it right-handed. Evan won the left, but Curtis steamrolled everybody in the right hand. So anyways, so that's my little intro on Curtis. Hope you guys enjoy just watching us rip at each other. Happens pretty much two times a week on the regular. Anyways, download ArmBet, guys. Download ArmBet and get hooked up, get connected, get in touch with people, make each other stronger, and yeah, just have fun.
The warfare. Come on. You get Steve Arnold. As soon as you start coming out, just too much coke.
Where's my water? Where's my water?
I gave you my bones.
I know. I was like, ugh. Right in there.
And like I say, the guy has not been arm wrestling a long time. He's just hitting his stride. He's one of the guys who quarantine has been really good for. I feel like primarily Curtis was a lifter, a really strong lifter who had an affinity for arm wrestling, but over the course of quarantine, he really figured out his arm wrestling lifts. If you see him on Instagram, the guy every day, he's cupping, he's rolling, he's working those arm wrestling fundamentals in his gym, in his house. So it's really paid off for him. Him in February versus where he is now, he's a completely different dude. Anyways, it's amazing what you can accomplish just by rising, cupping, and rolling.
Are they drugs?
No, it's a shake.
Oh, c'est good enough.
T'en veux plus? T'en veux-tu?
C'est quoi c'est?
C'est un champignon. Toi, t'en veux-tu? Ah, excuse-moi, je l'attends.
Sugar?
Ben oui,